Many of you guys have been wondering what belt setups me and Jake have been running in all of the videos that we've made in the last year. So today we're going to be deep diving into our belt setups. And I think this is important because when you get into shooting, a duty belt or an OWB belt is going to be one of the first things you should probably buy. If you guys end up liking this video, go over and check out our main channel where we do a lot of other great content. And if you guys are looking for accessories for your handgun, go over to our website and check out all the stuff that we offer. We have mag extensions, compensators, and mag wells that we always frequently sell for a lot of different handguns. Now let's deep dive into my belt setup, and I think the best place to start here is going to be the belt itself. This is a Blue Alpha Gear belt that I bought a couple of years ago. Not much has changed here in the technology of this space. There's a lot of companies trying new things, but I've had a lot of success with this belt, and I think that is because it is an inner-outer belt setup. I've tried a lot of different belt setups, including the T-Rex Arms Orion belt. To me, I just found that it was kind of an inconvenience. Every time you draw, they'll want to lift the whole thing up. With a drop leg, it just didn't quite sit right. Inner-outer belts seem to be the go-to for a lot of people, including myself. Blue Alpha Gear has been around a long time. Really nice, high-quality stuff. I've never had an issue with the Velcro or the belt breaking. Nice, big plastic buckle, so it's easy to get on and off. And if you put this inner belt through your pants, you can quickly just pull the outer belt off and then still keep your pants up because it's a nice, tight inner belt. And then later, if you want to put it back on, super fast and easy. So that's one of the things I really like about this. I don't prefer belts that you have to put through your belt loops. Takes too much time, and honestly there's a better system out there like this where it just simply velcros to the outside. When I was first getting into this, I was actually concerned that Velcro on Velcro wasn't going to hold, but even before I put on a drop leg with a thigh strap, I had no issues with it wanting to pull off or detach with drawing or manipulating reloads or anything like that. So really solid setup, and again I'm using this Blue Alpha setup, so really high quality. What I'm going to do is I'm going to work my way around the belt clockwise and kind of go over some of the accessories I have on here and why I chose to do this. To give you guys an idea, this is a civilian's belt setup. I'm not a law enforcement officer. The way I see this belt is it's kind of one size fits all. I use this belt for content. I use this belt for if crap were to hit the fan. It's just kind of my general belt setup. So there's a couple things on here that really wouldn't make sense for just a typical range day, but I have some things on here to make this a little more universal, so you're gonna see those here in a second. Before I get into the belt, I think this is a great point to bring up. If you're somebody who's gonna be doing only one thing, let's say you're only shooting competition, there's a lot of great competition belts out there that would probably do a better job than this Blue Alpha Gear. But if you're somebody like me who wants one belt that can do everything, this is going to work really good. You're gonna see later when Jake talks about his belts, he's got specific setups for specific jobs, and you might fall into that category, so definitely stick around for his part of the video. So up first, I have a packed timer. This is really important because when you go to the range, you should be timing yourself. Setting benchmarks or standards for your shooting journey is really critical. You want to set a faster speed. You want to set a higher standard of accuracy. So time is going to be a huge proponent of your shooting journey, and you're going to need a timer. I like keeping mine on my belt because it's really easy to hit and then prep to draw the handgun. I have put them on my plate carrier, but they kind of get in the way, and I've tried clipping it onto my pockets, but when you go to run, they kind of flop out. With this belt having MOLLE on it, I just clicked it into the top row of MOLLE. It's got a little bit of movement, but it's kind of stuck in there, so it's not going to want to come out. Really convenient place for that, and it's really not in the way of anything. Moving our way back, we have a Blade Tech Valor holster setup with a Safari drop leg attachment. Basically, we just attach this Safari system to the Valor holster, and the guys over at Blade Tech are great dudes. We met them at SHOT Show. They're actually only like an hour away from Herrington Arms, so keep that in mind when we're talking about this. Obviously, we got this holster for free, so we could be potentially a little bit biased, but what I've found is that this holster is really premium. I've worked with other holsters in the past, like Safariland or a plethora of different Kydex holsters. This one's really nice because of the versatility, which I'll talk about in a moment. But looking at the holster itself, we opted for the Glock holster, and we have a T-Rex Arms thigh strap on there. I think this is really important, especially with the Valor setup being as tight as it is. When you go to draw your gun, the gun is gonna wanna flare out if you don't get a perfect draw. So this thigh strap is going to allow you to keep that nice and tight and give you a faster draw with less movement. The reason I chose to do a Safariland QLS fork over the Blade Tech mount is simply because I run a lot of different guns and I have a lot of existing Kydex holsters. So with this QLS fork, I can pull this in and out. This is the holster setup that I'm going to use more often than not because we've been doing a lot of Glock content. However, we still shoot a lot of guns, so I have to be able to switch this out And I just really prefer using this system because I have so many of these forks on all these other holsters. And with that in mind, if you are starting fresh, Blade Tech offers a lot of different drop leg and other holster mounting options. So if you guys are interested in that, they obviously offer that. And if you're starting from scratch, that's the way I would go. Then you could add the tech mount on here and quickly switch the holsters on and off, utilizing their system, and you don't have to slap on any Safariland accessories and kind of piece it together. Talking about their tech mount system, they have one on the front here. This is an add-on, but I think it's really cool. What I'm going to be doing is buying a tourniquet holder and putting it on the front here. You often see this with Safarilands and police officers. It's not really new technology, but what's cool is this system makes it easy to take on and off. I could put a spare magazine on here or really any of the other attachments that they sell. Really unique system. I like it quite a bit. And right now without the tourniquet, it's not adding a lot of additional size to the actual holster itself, which is something we should talk about. This holster is pretty beefy. If you're used to a thin Kydex holster, this might take a minute to get used to, especially if you're not used to retention. This is a level 1 retention holster, simply because I don't need level 2 or 3. I'm not a police officer, so level 1 is gonna be more than enough for me as a civilian. If you guys are more interested in just the holsters that we have tested, we're actually putting together a video going over a lot of common holsters on the market and doing a deep dive comparison between them all. So make sure you guys subscribe to this channel, and we'll be putting that out here in the next coming months. All right, so the next thing on my belt is going to be my knife, but I'm gonna take this holster off so you guys can see it better. I like to keep a knife on my belt because I really think the versatility is there. A lot of times I pull everything out of my pockets when I'm at the range, my pocket knife, my pen, my phone, my wallet. So I really want to have something on me to be able to open boxes, ammo boxes, or if I have to do something with a knife. There's a lot of different reasons that you would need this. It's good to have on here. I really don't plan on using this defensively, while it is more of a defensive attack style SOG knife. For me, used more for admin purposes, but I did want to throw this on here. I've always had a knife on my belt and I've always found uses for it. So I throw it right behind my handgun. It's out of the way of my draw, and I noticed we're placing it on the right side next to my gun. If I do have to use it, stowing my pistol, pulling it out is more natural than being on my left side. I've been running on my left for a long time, and I found that it just wasn't very natural, and it got in the way of my comm setup with my plate carrier. So I ended up moving it to the right-hand side. Moving our way back, this is a new attachment. This is a pouch made by HRT. I actually have a flashbang in there. It is an IWA M13 thermobaric flash. So this is a single loud flash. This is definitely not necessary for your normal range trips, but like I said, this belt is going to be more universal for me. It's going to be used in a lot of situations, and having a flashbang on me in the case of crap hit the fan sounds really appealing. And this also doesn't take up a lot of room on my belt. I never notice it. I have sat in vehicles with this belt on, and this isn't really what I notice. I always notice the med pack. So this is kind of a nice addition. It takes up very little real estate on my belt, and if I needed a flash, it's going to be nice to have. On my plate carry setup, I do carry flashbangs in the cummerbund, but I don't carry a bunch of them on my back like you would see with a lot of other people. So adding an additional one on my waist is definitely going to be nice, especially if I don't have my plate carrier on at the time. Moving our way back, we do have an IFAK on here. This is actually an IFAK that Herrington Arms sold a long time ago. I picked out all of the components in it, and I wanted it to be more of a realistic IFAK for range use. So there's gonna be a lot of Band-Aids and gauze and other things in here that would be more for the civilians on the market. There's a lot of great med kits on the market. This one is a little bit on the thicker side. Like I said, I noticed it when I would sit down, but it has a lot of great features and it holds a lot of accessories. You can see here we have a tourniquet on the back. There are these grab handles, so you can pull this entire thing off your belt. The little storage sleeve would stay attached to your belt, and then you can take this and open it up if you had to work on somebody out at the range or in the field if you were in a crap hit the fan situation. It's a really nice med kit. We no longer offer these on Herrington Arms. I know that North American Rescue still offers something very similar if you're looking for something like this. I really like this, but it is kind of bulky. Moving our way past the med kit, we have 4 S-Tech Kiwi mag pouches, 2 for rifle, 2 for pistol magazines. You can see here I'm still working on this. I want to switch everything over to this Blade Tech MOLLE attachment. This is really nice, easy to put on. These older ones kind of dig into your waist a little bit when you kind of move your body a little bit, especially when you have a plate carrier on. So I'm gonna be switching these out. I don't recommend these plastic cheap MOLLE adapters here. Get these Blade Tech ones. These are way nicer. They don't dig into your side. But beyond that, these pouches are really nice. They have a lot of grip to them. In the beginning, when you first get these, it can actually be hard to get the mag in and out. So keeping these mags in here kind of forms the plastic and nylon and makes it easier to get in and out. This back one is a newer one. You can see how much more force it takes to get the magazine out. The front one is a lot older and it comes out really nicely. One thing I like about these Kiwi mag holders over, let's say like a Kydex one, is because the Kydex ones don't do a great job of holding your mag. I actually had a bunch of them early on, being all polymer. I think they were from T-Rex. When I was at the range one day, I was doing reloads. I grabbed the rifle mag, and on the way up, it just grasped a pistol mag and pulled the pistol mag out. So since then, I switched to these. I think they have a little bit better of a pull on the magazine. If that's not your style and you're going for speed, the Kydex ones are gonna be a lot better for that. These do take a little more effort, but I think the retention is quite a bit better. I also like the streamlined look of them. They just appear a lot slimmer than the Kydex counterparts, and they hold it a little bit better. So that's what is on my belt. As of 2026, I'm gonna be keeping this the same. Maybe a few things might change, like the med kit. But now you guys see what I have to offer. Let's go over to Jake's belts because his look a lot different.
All right, guys, I'm gonna run you guys through my belts. I have two. I know Cory was kind of taking things from the approach of he wants his belt to be the end all be all, just one configuration to do everything. That is a very smart approach to take, something I personally don't follow. For those of you that want to understand like a duty belt setup and how it can work with a plate carrier, make sure you guys hop over to our plate carrier setup video. I went a little bit into the weeds with my duty belt setup that I specifically use for being a police officer in the state of Ohio here. What I'm gonna walk you guys through is like one of my main squeeze range belts, and then one of my like more duty focused and training focused belts down here. They do have a lot of similarities in terms of setup and configuration, but there are some things that I let slide between this range belt and the more duty focused belt. And I'll kind of elaborate and go on as we hop into this process here. This belt in particular that I have set up is range focused. There is no duty aspect to this belt, so I'll kind of get into the nitty gritty here and how we're doing that. This is a December Customs inner outer belt, pretty much like what you see mostly in the industry, just MOLLE all along the outside, and it has a a Velcro inner belt here. That's like about 1.5 inches or an inch. It's very thick. It sticks to the Velcro of the belt very well. Like this thing does not shift on me when I'm using it or anything like that, moving, shooting, whatever. This company is really cool because this is a US based company. The guy that owns this is based out of New Jersey. Him and his wife make these belts, and it's a very small company, and they actually, when I met them at a trade show here that was 2A related, they actually knew me because they were calling me the red thread guy, because I have red thread inlaid throughout the rest of this belt here. And they remembered me specifically because they had to special order that thread to put it on this belt. For me personally, little touch like that, I appreciate a small business that can remember things like that. It's like a very interpersonal thing, and I wanted to support a small business, so really glad we get to showcase this belt here. Now, that all being said, the company's really cool. The belt also works as it should. Price range it's in, very affordable. Just because it's affordable doesn't mean it's cheap. It has the quality to back it as well. Getting into the nitty gritty here. What I have here on the side is a Blade Tech holster. I've kind of just recently started switching over to Blade Tech. These holster systems are really cool because they're essentially a complete ecosystem. You can bounce these around on multiple attachments on multiple different belts. And the hub they have to put it on is very intuitive, and honestly, I appreciate it because I bounce between 3 different belts all the time, so being able to take these holsters and use them across different belts is beneficial for me. What this is attached to is a Wilder Tactical drop leg system. What they basically have underneath this Blade Tech mount is different configurations for common holster patterns we see on the market, like just off the top of my head, Safariland being one of them. Underneath this Blade Tech system, there's actually an assortment of different holes to use with different holsters and different mounts, like the QLS system we see with Safariland. This also attaches directly to the belt, which again helps distribute weight in the hips. And it also is better than using the drop leg system you see from Safariland, and you have to hook it on your inner belt. For me, this is a way better system because it can hook on the actual MOLLE of the outside of the belt. Also comes with a leg strap with the Cobra buckle. Cobra buckle's not a huge deal, but the leg strap is very important because when you're trying to draw from this holster, the buckle that goes around your leg gives the leverage necessary so that this holster isn't coming up with you when you draw. It's not like coming up like this and turning as you're trying to draw. It's super annoying, and it gets the gun all snagged up, and I absolutely hate it. For gloves, I run SKD Pigs. For me, this is like the perfect blend of a thin glove that's you can touch and use and click buttons on optics and all that stuff, manipulate buttons on optics, and it's also good for like winter conditions as well. It's kind of a good blend of both. When you're using like winter gloves, your dexterity is pretty much just completely out the window, so I appreciate using these middle of the road Pigs in terms of durability and warmth. It's also good to have a pair of gloves on your range belt or just a belt in general because you're removing stands. Stuff's dirty. There's metal pieces sticking off targets and stands from people shooting stands and targets, and then also just when it's cold outside, it's good to have an extra layer on your hands. So on the back here, I have these 2 G-code pouches. These are really just for admin use, okay? I put anything from markers to magazines in these. These are just great to carry extra mags when I'm, walking away from where my loading station is or whatever. They're nice to carry multiple markers around because like when I teach classes and such, it's good to be able to write on targets and jot down notes for students on targets, whatever. These have a universal use to them. I have 2 markers in them because I think, whenever you go to the range, one of the best tools you can bring with you is a marker. That's what I use those for. I'm sure you can use them for a multitude of other things. On the back end here, I have my Egner Sherman designed dump pouch, okay? This is a very, very enlarged one. Again, this is really good for a range-focused belt. I would never put something like this large on a duty belt just because of its size. It'd be really hard to get to roll up, sit in vehicles and such. It wouldn't be the greatest thing for duty. It definitely work, but it really shines being a range belt. The bottom of this is also meshed out. So whenever you get like sandy mags or muddy mags or anything like that in there, it'll shake out of the bottom and it doesn't collect dust and garbage and crud in the bottom. And for somebody like me who's constantly rolling around the ground and in the mud on the range, that's a very nice little thing to have in a dump pouch. In my dump pouch, I just have like extra mags and stuff like that. I also have a laser pointer. I know this seems kind of weird to have a laser pointer, but it's really good when we're talking about confirmation in terms of like having a red dot and a pistol. It's a good demonstration tool to have for students when I run classes to understand what their dot is doing under recoil when they're shooting and for target transitions and such. So the laser is a very useful tool for me to have on this belt. On the back of this, I have a Herrington Arms blowout kit. We used to sell these in the store way back in the day. Bought one of them very long ago. It is a very, very large pouch. Again, I stuffed a ton of things I would normally not put in a duty-focused blowout kit in here. Just because, in a range setting, this may be used on not just me, it might be used on other people. So in my opinion, it's important to have additional things packed in here because this is the whole focus of this belt is a range belt, okay? I have a tourniquet, obviously. I normally carry 2. I'll normally stuff one in my dump pouch or throw it in one of these pouches sometimes. Just again, because I'm normally on the range with someone more than just myself. So it's important to me to have something like this ready and accessible. Now you guys will also notice too, especially when I hop over my more duty-focused belt, what the configuration of these 2 is. On this belt, I am not worried about saving room. It's just not a worry of mine for a range-configured belt. I was a little bit more lackadaisical when it came to the placement of these and the real estate it's taking up. The one thing that is 100% the same between both of these belts is going to be the magazine pouches used and their specific placement, and then same thing with the holster. The holster placement's the same, the magazine pouches are the same. This is all a personal choice. I like for most belts, most duty-driven belts, I like to have 2 rifle mags and 2 pistol mags. I've seen it configured a handful of different ways. Some people just run 2 pistol mags and 1 rifle mag. Either way, I totally get it. I have a 36-inch waist, okay? So not everybody has the real estate I have on a belt, especially if you're some 5'5" guy and you got a 20-inch waist, okay? Like your real estate and what you're gonna have on your belt is completely different from somebody my size. Now to get more specific with these pouches, I like to use the G-code pouches because for a range platform, they're a little bit more universal. I don't shoot 45 a ton, but I do shoot a different array of different 9mm platforms. Mostly right now it's 2011 and Glock based. Some M&P finds its way in there occasionally. But these G-code pouches can be tightened on the bottom to fit a multitude of those different handgun pouches. And then same thing with the rifle pouches. Sometimes I'm shooting like my 5.45 AK or 7.62 AK. As long as it's like kind of this type of mag, it will fit in there. And the really cool thing is that on the ends of these mag holders, they have plastic inserts. So like the tabs that you see on an AK mag won't get caught when they get inserted into a pouch like this. So for me, there is a ton of benefit in the G-code rifle pouches and pistol pouches. They also secure the mags very well. They don't fly out of the holster from the magazines. When you're moving, shooting, rolling around the ground, they all stay where they're supposed to be. Okay, so big fan of those. Another quick thing about this belt, I went oversized on this belt for kind of a specific reason. Again, kind of like I said, this is the belt I train with quite a bit when it comes to range training, like just flat range training, square range training. Especially here in Ohio, we have insanely cold winters. Okay, as of right now, it's like 2 degrees outside. So very commonly, I'm wearing a jacket and at least a layer or 3 underneath that. So being able to sometimes, having a belt that's fit to you in a summertime condition versus a wintertime condition, that's something you're gonna have to keep in mind. So with this belt in particular, I purposely went to the 36 to 40 category because you can easily add a few inches to your waist when you're tucking a coat in or a few layers in of like shirts and Under Armours and stuff like that. So just kind of keep that in mind if you guys are building a range-specific belt. You might want to like make sure it's versatile to a handful of different sizes. That way you can wear your winter gear or sniffle gear or rain jackets and such. Now, a very small thing I have in the front of this belt is a magnet. This is kind of a strange thing to have, but I like to have it to hold mags, especially if they're like metal based. It'll hold a mag like that. You can put markers or whatever else little tools on there that you have. It's just more of a convenience thing, especially for like when I shoot matches and stuff. Sometimes you have to load from the belt and it's just a tad bit quicker to grab from a magnet versus grabbing from a pouch. We're talking about minimal in terms of seconds, but it is slightly a little bit faster. It's also just a convenience thing as well. It's also nice for like unloading and showing clear, just dropping the mag out, throwing out the magnet, clearing the gun, then putting it back in, throwing the holster. It's just convenient to have. There is no like specific purpose behind it besides convenience, which kind of summarizes most of this belt. As we get into more of my duty focused belt here, you guys will see there's a little bit more mission specific or more duty driven options on there or things to keep in mind. So again, December Customs belt, really awesome configuration. This is a range type of belt setup. You guys can see immediately off the rip, the configuration is a lot different. There's also a lot less going on in terms of real estate on the belt. Realistically, I have like, 3 main places I'm putting gear, and this is nice for weight distribution, okay? Because for me personally, I feel like having weight on the left, right, and back end evenly distributes the weight. It frees up space on the back left and back right quadrants for any other mission-specific gear I may need to put on there, or just things I want to put on there last minute. So this is a configuration I very much prefer for that type of work, okay? Now again, you guys will kind of see holster placement's the same. Same thing with the whole Blade Tech system. I've kind of switched over to Blade Tech almost entirely at this point, but it's nice to have, again, the Wilder Tactical system because if I want to go back to using my Safarilands and the QLS system, I can just throw the screws right back in here and get right back to work with that. Now, you guys also notice here I have a holster for my light. I run a mod light handheld, especially when I'm teaching low light classes and stuff like that. It's nice to have just a holster for it that's in the front of my belt versus somewhere where it's hard to reach. I can reach it here in the front with both hands, so that is why I place it there. It's also placed a little bit higher, up and out of the way of my holster. Before we kind of get in the meat and potatoes of this, what this belt is a sub-second belt. These are, in terms of the belt world, pretty high end. They're fairly expensive, and there's a good reason for that. They go through all kinds of crazy testing for these. A lot of SWAT teams and SOCOM teams and special mission units and stuff like that run these belts. So there's a lot of testing that goes into it. There's a lot of certifications involved here, and that's why they demand the price they have. I've had this belt for about 3 to 4 years now, and I absolutely love it. It has great weight distribution. The belt is very thick, so it feels good on the hips. It's not like a little thin belt system that's kind of like squeezing on your hips. And then also, you guys will notice there's like this elastic in between each loop. This is really cool to tuck whatever you want into it, whether it's freaking markers or flashbangs or whatever. Like, you can put anything you want inside those. They stretch quite a bit. This is a very convenient belt to have for a duty setup. Now, scooting a little bit further back here, you guys will notice the IFAC system, and really just my medical system in general, takes up way less real estate here on this duty belt versus how I had on my range belt. I purposely hang the tourniquet underneath the IFAC kit because it kind of saves on room. And it also feels better to sit in like when you're in a vehicle and such versus having all of this stuff taken up. This feels a lot better and a lot more manageable on my lower back when I just have one system right here. This is a Flatline Fiberco IFAC kit. And then same thing here, they have a drop, essentially like a drop leg system for a tourniquet. This is a Theorem cell vault, so I just carry like, I think it's 6 or 8 CR123 batteries for optics, night vision, whatever you name it, lights, lasers, all that. It's good to have in a belt because sometimes you need that when you're not near your vehicle or you're not near your range bag. This stuff is nice to have, okay? And then if we're getting on the right-hand side of the belt here, you guys will notice I have, again, G-code pouches. I already kind of went in my spiel of G-code, but these are really good for what I use them for and for what they do for me. And then you guys will notice right below that, I have the Flatline Fiberco smaller dump pouch. I have this right along the right-hand side of the belt. It's really convenient to drop mags into just with my right hand because I'm left-handed. So I'm typically grabbing mags out of the gun with my right hand and dropping them right in this dump pouch. It's very convenient. It's good placement as well. This can also be rolled up and tucked behind the mag pouches, and it actually mounts behind these. If I flip this over real quick for you guys will see it actually mounts in the exact same place that the mag pouch is. Okay. So again, very convenient to have, very much like this setup. Again, you guys will see I have a magnet at the front. It's just more of a convenience thing. You can, as long as it's some kind of metal, it'll stick to that thing. So these are 2 of the 3 of my specific belt setups that we have for this video. Let us know what you guys think. I understand some people are very prepper minded, so they just want to have one that they grab. I largely do this for a living, so having multiple different types of things is kind of a standard across the board for me, whether it's firearms or gear. So being able to have things configured and ready to go already that I know fit specific mission sets is very convenient for me to have. It's also very convenient for my jobs, whether it's law enforcement or working here at Herrington Arms or teaching professionally for Redline Consulting. So this is just the way I do things. Feel free to comment below. Let us know what you guys think. If you guys want to see more content like this, make sure you guys like and subscribe and check us out next time.